Hello, welcome all you patrons. Welcome to another pre-show. Gather round, gather round.
Fill up all the expensive seats. It's the cheap sheets. The cheap seats will be filled later. Don't they? They look elegantly autumnal.
Well, it is autumn.
It is autumn. It's September, the hottest month of the year. Sometimes in SoCal,
Yeah, it is actually. It's uh
not here.
it's getting cooler.
Oh, I'll say it's nice and cool. Or well, this is what the French call automne and what the Germans call Herbst, and
What it
it means autumn.
Oh, okay.
And it is cool. Although, have you seen the what is it? Uh, well, I'm trying to think of it. The video. There's a series of videos with maps of instead of faces. They've got eyes of different countries. There'll be like an outline of Germany with the German flag color and eyes and a mouth.
I haven't seen that. No.
There's a whole series of them, and they'll be just some of them are England trying to teach America how to speak. Others are you see this on Instagram a lot.
Hmm.
Others are different countries comparing how they say different words. And one of the running gags is that everybody is similar except Germany. So you see England science, America science, Italy scienza, Spain ciencia, France science, Russia Zienza, whatever it is. It goes through all the then it goes Germany, Naturwissenschaft.
I've seen
And
versions of that, and I remember feeling like German words are hitting me with like a jackhammer or something. Just like,
well, that's exactly it.
yeah.
And so and then on one of them though they have library, and they've got only the Spaniard goes biblioteca, the French says bibliothèque, the Dutch says bibliothèque, and Italian biblioteca, Russia bibliothèque, and then you see Germany and all the other countries are looking frightened, and you see Germany, big grin, bibliothèque, and everyone's. But then you see England and America looking at each other and whispering,
That's cute.
library. Yeah. But it's so funny, the big build up for Germany, and then it just goes, bibliothèque, and grins. And poor England and America is sort of frightened. Instagram's a lot of fun.
Hmm. All right.
Speaking of a lot of fun,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've mentioned this to you. The leaves are going to start turning brown and falling even in Arcadia.
Yeah, that's nice, right? That's
Yeah, I
good.
think so. Let me ask you, what is which of the two birds that Arcadia is best known for? Which is the city bird, the peacock or the parrot?
Definitely the peacock.
More than the parrot?
The parrot, no, not quite.
Not quite.
No.
Do you ever get a thrill when you've got a visitor coming up and suddenly the trees are filled with parrots shrieking and you think you're in the Amazon?
I do.
You get a thrill out of that, do you?
Yes, I love it.
And how about when someone from out of town is there with you and everything's fine and suddenly there's this huge peacock just standing there?
It's awesome. It's because I know it shocks them.
It does shock them. It does. I think I told you we have a mutual friend. She's from Indiana. Do you remember? And a bunch of us got out for brunch, and I came out and she came out. There's this enormous peacock standing, sort of perched on the column as we come out. And she had never seen them before and had no idea they were all over the place. And she looks and she goes, "Oh my God, that's a peacock." Look at that, Charles. And I said, "A peacock." And she says, yes, it's right there. It's huge. Can't you see it? I said, do you see them just here? Or do you see peacocks in other places? Oh, man, did she get mad at me. You know, the thing, these big knobby legs holding on to the column,
Yeah.
and the feathers out and all that. It was really funny.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect because it seems so out of place. Like just right there, something like a peacock just randomly there. It's
Yeah, a random peacock.
yeah.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, this may give you a little bit of insight into the psychology behind Off the Menu, given that both of us have lived for so long in a town where, in truth, there are flocks of wild parrots that, when they descend on your trees, they make you feel like you're Bubba the Jungle Boy. And then you do have the peacocks as well.
Yep. Yep. I told Charles this before the show. I decided to go to Peacock Donuts before the show, and there's kind of like a back alley to get to it. And in that back alley, lo and behold, 2 peacocks just strutting around.
Yeah, doing their thing.
Yeah, so.
And it's against the law to do anything to them, you know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Peacocks are protected in our part of the world. So let that be a lesson to you, ladies and gentlemen. If your tree is suddenly occupied by feral parrots, or if you've got peacocks strutting around on your lawn, you might be crazy, or you may be living in Arcadia. Or both.
I don't think the parrots are protected, though.
No, but who's going to go after the parrots? I
Yeah.
mean, for one thing, there are too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny, they're green parrots, Amazon green parrots, but every now and then you'll see a random red one or something among them.
I've not been. Wow. I've never seen a red one.
I have, but it makes you wonder if somebody's pet parrot didn't escape and just joined the flock, you know, of a different species.
Yeah. All right. On to the questions.
All right.
First one is from Anita. She says, "Yay for the return of Off the Menu. I'm sure we have all been stockpiling questions for Charles. Like we used to stockpile Reese's peanut butter eggs during Lent in anticipation of Easter."
Oh, I like that kind of a simile. You guys know how I love the calendar and the holidays. You bet. This is it.
Did your family do like what kind of things did your family do for
what?
Easter?
For Lent or
Easter,
for
yeah,
Easter?
like Cadbury eggs.
Well, what would happen when we were very young? There would just be Easter baskets at the door.
Okay.
You know, I remember my first couple of Easters that I remember, so I must have been like 3 and 4. It was a great disappointment the following days because all there were afterwards were milk bottles at the door. These were much less enjoyable than these really elaborate Easter baskets. They had all kinds of candies in them. They had chocolate eggs, they had chocolate bunnies. And of course, you always wanted to bite the head off first and then the rest of it.
Yeah.
And some would be filled with cream and all. There were a lot of them. I remember Easter baskets in those days came with a lot of stuff in them. And there'd be jelly beans, which I didn't really care for, so I'd give them to my brother, which he didn't mind. He ate them. And they'd have that sort of green plastic grass in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or green paper grass, whatever it was.
I'm pretty sure it's plastic. Yeah, because it's so shiny. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the baskets they're pretty big. They're big. So that's what happened in the earliest days. Later, after the bunnies stopped coming for my brother, my dad, what happened is I'd wake up and there'd be a note by my bed, and it would say something like, "Go to the statue of Beethoven in the living room." And I go to the statue, there'd be a note saying, "Not here. Go try go try under the work table in the garage." So I go out to the garage. There'd be a note there. Nope. Go, and I'd have to go all over the place to eventually I would find wherever he'd hid the Easter egg. But I had to follow all the notes, you see. So that was kind of a thing we did for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. which I really enjoyed, and my
Mm.
father got a big kick out of it. Because every note, would be stuck under a figurine of something or whatever, and or in a book, and the note would be written by the thing, you know.
Ah.
So no, it's not in my pages. You better go look over at the Webster's Dictionary. He'll know. It is that kind of thing.
I see. That's
So
cute.
my dad really exercised his ingenuity, and of course we would boil Easter eggs and color them, with the Pass Easter egg color.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much what we did. And we'd have ham or lamb to eat, and of course Easter Mass, and that was it. But I always really enjoyed Easter.
Yeah. All right. So Anita says, in his book, The End of the Present World and the Mysteries of the Future Life, insert book plug here. Free shipping and handling if you buy it with Star Spangled Crown. Wow, that is so true.
Operators are standing by, waiting for your orders.
That's right. So, act now. Batteries not included.
No assembly required.
All right, so she says, Father Armagnan says that it is thought that the Antichrist will be of the Israelite tribe of Dan. I always thought that all the information necessary to trace the descendants of the tribes of Israel disappeared in the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple in 79 AD. So how would we be able to ascertain that a candidate for Antichrist is of the tribe of Dan? Am I wrong, or is it in fact possible for the Jews of today to trace their lineage back to the various tribes?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you're right. The genealogies were destroyed, and we don't have any certain way of knowing. Although there are, for instance, Jewish families that claim to be Cohens, descendants of priests, or Levitan, Levi, descendants of Levites. But just because the genealogies were destroyed doesn't mean there aren't descendants of the tribe of Dan. We just don't know who they are. So they're around there somewhere. I don't know where.
Right. She also says, I would be interested in both of your thoughts on the upcoming gubernatorial recall election in my home state of California. Do you think Nancy Pelosi's nephew will be recalled?
No.
If so, who do you think has the best shot at getting his seat?
Losers. Angeline.
Hey, Larry, don't be racist. Larry Elder.
No, Angeline.
Oh, yeah, she was on the ticket. Do you
was.
think California is likely to end up better off, worse off, or the same? Thank you. Welcome back, and God bless.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. God bless you. Well, the same and worse off are the same issue. Because, see, like when you're going downhill, if you keep going downhill, well, then you're got to be worse off.
It's true.
So the two are connected. Yeah, I think if Newsom had been defeated by almost anybody, I was hoping, of course, for Jim Hanning, my old friend who's with the American Solidarity Party. Larry Elder would have been good. Angeline would have been an improvement, And of course, I'm in favor of Angeline, whatever she does. What's good for billboards is good for California. But no, I mean, I think the Californians slit their own throat.
Yeah.
This guy is a moron. He's the Justin Trudeau of California. The boy toy of the elite.
I just I didn't think I was pretty sure he was going to win, but I didn't think it'd be 65-35, which is what it is right now.
Well, see, you got to remember a few things. Firstly, California, when I was a kid, we came out to the state. People came to California because there were jobs there. There was a burgeoning economy. There were tons of businesses coming in, tons of new industries. It was the place you went to work. That's not why people go to California anymore. They leave if they want to work. They leave if they want to make money. However, if they want to, sort of roll back and take the dough, that's when they come. And of course, people get recruited by the Democratic Party in droves because they promise them, we'll keep feeding you. All you got to do is come and vote the right way. But, I blame the Republicans as much as anybody because they've never had any vision. What's his name? Governor, he was the last Republican governor before Schwarzenegger. What is his name? He's still a big shucker and jiver in the Republican Party. I'm sorry, mover and shaker, I meant. Pete Wilson.
Okay. Pro-choice Pete.
Pro-choice Pete. Now he is the standard bearer of the Republican Party in California. So, pardon my saying so, ladies and gentlemen, but they deserve to lose. And that's, if he's the best, Pitt is the rest. So, the first time I ever voted against the Republican in a race was when Ed Shaw ran for Senate against the evil Alan Cranston. And it was a real crisis of conscience. I couldn't vote for Cranston, but Ed Shaw made a big deal about being pro-abort. And I couldn't vote for a pro-abort candidate. So I ended up voting third party. And to be honest with you, I have done that in almost all elections since. Because as long as the Republicans pretend to be pro-life, they don't have my vote.
Yeah, it's weird. I've talked to a lot of business owners, small business owners in California, and they are all have the same weird perspective where they say, yeah, they're Democratic leaning, but Democratic policies clearly are killing the state, but they're not Republican because Republicans are extreme.
Okay, eat it then.
Yeah, I don't.
Just eat it. If you were going to jump off a bridge, jump.
Yeah.
They're busy driving out the businesses, closing them, killing off the tax base, all the while, bringing in more mouths to feed. Well, okay, do that. See what happens. I didn't go to Harvard Business School. In fact, I didn't go to Harvard, but I'm going to reveal a secret to you, Vinny, and to all of our happy fans out there in patron land. If you've got X number of dollars in your wallet and you keep putting money out, but you don't put any money in, one day you're going to have an empty wallet. That's true.
We put money in the wallet through tax revenue.
It never equals what goes out. And as the tax base erodes, the amount you're going to be able to milk out of the productive will.
Yeah.
So, what do you do then? Well, if you're Newsom, I guess, you can get a job on Santa Monica Boulevard or something.
Well, I think part of my hypothesis for why they feel they can do that is Hollywood. Is Hollywood going to move? And is Silicon Valley going to move?
They may have to one day. Because the fact is, when they're the only geese that are still laying eggs,
yeah,
what are they going to have to do? Would jack up the prices on them?
Yeah.
They came for the small business owners, but I wasn't a small business owner, so I said nothing. They came for the factory owners, but I wasn't a factory owner, so I said nothing. They came for the mining interests, but I wasn't a mining interest, so I said nothing. But then they came for my studio, and I said no. I said, that's bad. I own a studio, and I voted for you. Yeah, well. And then, of course, once they've eaten up the studios in Silicon Valley, well, then Governor Newsom will have to go door to door, I don't know, selling something, maybe himself.
Then he'll have to run for president of the United States.
Yeah, just to get out of Dodge.
Imagine that, like
that would be Governor Newsom's presidential campaign motto: "Help me get out of Dodge." The bills is coming due. Help me get out of Dodge. Ladies and gentlemen of California, I need a quick escape. Help me by voting Democratic in the next presidential election. Remember, if I'm in Washington, I won't be here. Send me to the White House and you'll be safe. And of course, I can imagine Newsom's, for the rest of the country, the platform for Newsom.
What?
Our country stands on the edge of ruin. Help me finish the job.
Oh.
I mean, he is California's Justin Trudeau, and we should really share him with everyone else. How would you like to be a Newsom for president campaign worker in Oklahoma?
Oh. Oh.
Could you imagine trying to justify that moron to people from out of state?
Oh.
He's wonderful because he's pretty. I mean, what else could you say for him? He's not that pretty.
I mean, I'm kind of half joking with the president thing because in reading this, there are whispers of this already.
Oh, of course, well, yeah, but I mean, don't forget they were talking about what's his face, Villaraigosa. You remember that a couple of years ago?
That's a bridge too far.
Oh, wait a minute! No, I've got the perfect ticket. Gruesome Newsom for president and Villaraigosa as vice. California's gifts to the nation. I actually had, when they legalized gay marriage in California, I had in mind that the two of them, because they were both divorced at the time, their spouses having, figured out what they'd married and left, I figured having the two of them get married would be great.
Wow.
Well, think about it. They'd bridge the North-South divide and the Latino-Anglo divide. Plus, eventually they could join the ever-growing numbers of Californians divorced by getting annulment on the basis of non-consummation.
Wow.
It would be perfect.
It would have been, yeah.
Yeah. But they had to leave their respective dumps and move on to greener pastures. At least Newsom did. Villaraigosa, he really hasn't gone very far with much of anything.
Yeah.
He really was a loser.
I will say one thing. Since we're talking about California and we're talking about... there is one little bit of hope, actually. The cities are rising up against the LA district attorney, this district attorney Gascon, who's quote-unquote soft on crime. But the cities, are actually going to petition it because they feel his soft on crime status doesn't allow the cities to protect themselves by prosecuting who they need to prosecute. And like a
Can
city
I?
like Sierra Madre, where it's very idyllic, you know, they're the cities are really. I think they're going to get it through because the cities are going to take action.
You remember what happened 20 years ago?
No.
Well, I do. In California, they merged the municipal and county court systems.
Oh. So that screwed them over. So that's why they're here now.
Get it? Understand?
Oh.
You remember we used to have municipal courts.
Wow.
It's like the open primary. All this crap gets passed. Oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah. Well, you know what, my little munchkin? There'll be a price to pay. You get rid of municipal courts, you're at the mercy of the county district attorney.
Wow. All right, let us move on. Layla, a new patron,
Yes.
she says, "Why is the last gospel read out loud sometimes and not others? I can't find the answer anywhere."
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about the last gospel. It's read out loud for low masses, not for sung masses. Although the priest still reads it. I don't know why that is. I do know that originally the last gospel was not read at all to the congregation. It was read by the priest as during the recessional when he and the other ministers of the altar were going back into the sacristy. He would read it basically for him and them. But St. Pius V felt that it was a necessary bit of education for the laity, which is why he required it to be said to the laity at the end of Mass.
Right. So, a question from Nate. What reading order should one read Tolkien's works in your opinion? What works did Tolkien consider more important to his mythology? To give the listeners context, Tolkien has a vast catalog that his son Christopher edited and published after J.R.R.'s death in the early 70s.
Well, that's a good question. To be honest with you, although some people would say to read the Silmarillion first because you get the account of the creation and all that, I think you should start with The Hobbit and then go on to read Lord of the Rings. And one of two things will happen. Either you will be captured by his mythology and want to know everything about it, or you won't. And if you're not captured by it, you shouldn't bother with the rest of it. If you are, then you'll want to know more because there are all sorts of questions about the elves, about the shape of Middle Earth, about why things are the way they are, that you'll only find out if you read the Silmarillion and then the Book of Lost Tales and so on. But if you start with the Silmarillion, and you don't really have an investment in Tolkien's universe, I just don't think you may be lost before you ever get to Lord of the Rings. And don't forget, I mean, God bless Christopher Tolkien for doing all that work. And there's a new book that's come out on Middle Earth with more information. It's just come out. It's called The Nature of Middle Earth by Carl. It's been edited by Carl Hostetter, whom I know. He's a very good fellow, very devout Catholic, actually. A very, really great guy. But Carl has just brought out this, he's edited this last collection of stuff that was done under Christopher Tolkien's tutelage, although by that time he wasn't in a position to edit it himself. It's called The Nature of Middle Earth. But, you know, read the trilogy, read The Hobbit, then read the trilogy, and that'll either capture your attention or it won't. If it captures your attention, then you'll want to go through everything else, starting with the Silmarillion. If not, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to start with The Hobbit, especially because it moves quicker, and it is that hook.
Yeah,
Into,
definitely.
yeah.
Or it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine who would be so evil, but still. Oh, one thing you must never do is watch the trilogy of Hobbit movies.
Yes.
Don't do that.
All right. Question from Mason, who says, Mr. Frankini and Mr. Coulombe, I have a question regarding the Republic of Venice and its distinct right. In college, I am currently taking a history course on the Venetian Republic, and in talking to my professor after class today, I learned that there is a distinct Rite of St. Mark in Venice. Does Charles know anything about this rite, and if so, how does it differ from the Tridentine? Is it still the form of a Mass used in St. Mark's Basilica? Are there any sources on either this rite or any of the other distinct Italian rites, such as the Rite of St. Ambrose in Milan? Were these distinct rites important for the Italian city-states, particularly looking at the Rite of St. Mark in Venice?
Well, okay. One thing you should know is that in the Western Church, there are certain cities that, for different historical reasons, have bishops who are called patriarchs, like the Patriarch of Lisbon in Portugal and what was the Patriarch of Aquileia, which is a city near Venice. Uh, the Patriarchate of Aquileia had, like the Archdiocese of Milan, which has the Ambrosian Rite, as it's called, which is quite a bit different in various ways from the Roman Rite, although not nearly as much now as it once. Uh, the Aquileian Rite was quite different 1,000 years ago, but its history was one of constant Romanization until by the 1500s it was no more different really from the mainstream Roman Rite than the Norbertine Rite is now. A few prayers, nothing you would actually notice easily if you were just sitting there. The Patriarchate of Aquileia was transferred to Venice, so in the 1500s. So the top man there now is called the Patriarch of Venice. But it's only a patriarchate of honor. It's not like Alexandria or Antioch. Um, the Eventually it was the so-called Aquileian Rite was only practiced in St. Mark's Basilica, and it came to an end in 1807 with the Republic of Venice. So there you go.
All right, our final question for the pre-show is from Tom, who says, Charles, in the vein of the green scapular used for the conversion of sinners, do you know of any sacramentals that have been used to reconcile two feuding parties?
Well, not for that specific purpose, actually. Um, not for that specific purpose, but I could recommend you try a couple of things. One might be a St. Benedict medal, which is very strong against the devil, because of course the devil delights in divisions and so forth. And the other, actually, you might try is a Blessed Charles medal, Blessed Carl, uh, reconciliation being one of his big things, especially of peoples and so on. So you might try. After all, they called him the Peace Emperor. So you might try a Blessed Charles medal. Have it blessed.
All right. That will do it for the pre-show, everyone. But stay tuned. We have really great questions for the full episode.
we've got some great questions. There's going to be all sorts of fun stuff, a little bit of calendar lore, a touch of commentary on one of Vinny's favorite institutions in the whole wide world. I mean, this goes back to when he was a little boy trick or treating. So you'll find out, and you're allowed to stay, seeing that you've gotten all autumnal. You're allowed to keep holding on to that Indian corn. Yes, ma'am, you're the one on the end. Yes, you think I didn't see it when you came in? You see that colored Indian corn she's clutching as a sign of autumn? You can keep holding on to it, ma'am. It's okay. We don't mind.
Isn't it Native American corn?
No, it's Indian corn. It's not First Nations corn. It's not American Indian corn. It's not Amaranth corn. It's not Native American corn. It is Indian corn. If you went down to the res and you started calling people Native Americans, you wouldn't get out alive. I mean, that Native American stuff may cut the mustard in white universities, but don't you try it on the people themselves.
Okay. I trust you on this matter, Charles.
You better.
All right. So we will see you in a bit.
Just a couple of minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your seats. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, all right, fine. You can put the corn down if you want. You know, she's holding it like some sort of scepter, as though she were the goddess Cerealia, you know. Just, no, put it on Flora or somebody. Just put it down if you want. Yes, ma'am, it's fine. You can put it down. It's all right. No, it won't be taken away. No, it's safe. It is safe for it. Yes. I promise you, it will not be taken away. And if it is, Vinny will replace it with one of equal or double value. Okay? Yes. All right. Very good, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see you shortly.